Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to explore the night when Tu Na suddenly collapses right after finally holding Henry again. And Alex fights desperately to keep their fragile family from breaking apart a second time. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episodes. The late afternoon sunlight slanted gently across the dirt road leading to the farm, as if everything had finally begun to return to its rightful place. After countless sleepless nights filled with fear, after endlessly clasping her hands together to pray in silence, Tu Na was finally able to hold Henry in her arms again. That moment felt as though someone had thrown open a door, letting waves of light pour into the darkened room of her heart. Henry rushed into his mother's embrace, his tiny hands trembling, yet gripping tightly onto her sleeve, as if letting go for even a second would make everything disappear again. His small face pressed against her chest and a broken, quivering sob escaped him. Ma. Tears streamed down Tu Na's cheeks onto her son's soft hair. She held him tightly, her body trembling, as if she were clutching a piece of her soul that had once been ripped away. Behind them, Alex stood silently. His chest rose and fell, not from exhaustion after days of searching, but from the overwhelming relief that nearly weakened his knees. He had imagined 100 terrible endings, had prepared himself for the possibility that he might never find Henry again. Yet now here the boy was, safely in his mother's arms, and Alex could only stand there, watching them, feeling as if his heart had been returned to him. He had thought, at last, this family is whole again. But life rarely grants such mercy so easily. That evening, the wind from the fields drifted through the wooden window frame. Inside, the small oil lamp flickered on the old table, its flame dancing and casting trembling golden shadows on the wall. Henry slept soundly in the cradle beside the bed, his gentle breaths rising in tiny puffs. Whenever he stirred slightly, the soft rustle he made was so tender that simply watching him could soothe an adult's heart. Tu Na sat on the wooden chair by the table, her back slightly hunched. Her body looked as though it had just endured a long storm. Her slender shoulders trembled faintly, not from cold, but from weariness. A weariness that seeped into her bones, the kind that could pull her into sleep the moment she closed her eyes. Yet a faint smile still lingered on her lips, not bright, not radiant, but real. Alex stood at the doorway, leaning against the frame, quietly watching the two of them. For the first time in many days, he felt the warmth of a family in this small house. Not large, not luxurious, but a place where the woman he loved and the child he risked everything to find were finally safe. "Eat a little more," he said softly, placing his hand on the bowl of rice. "You're very weak." "I can eat," Tu Na replied with a faint smile, lifting the bowl. But as the bowl rose halfway, her hand suddenly froze. The smile vanished. The faint spark in her eyes dulled into emptiness. Alex barely had time to see her fingers tremble before the bowl slipped from her grasp and shattered on the floor. The sharp crack of the breaking bowl tore through the quiet room like a blade, ripping apart the fragile piece that had just formed. "Tu Na!" Alex shouted, lunging forward. Her body stiffened for a moment before collapsing like a puppet with its strings severed. He caught her just before her head hit the ground. Her face was ghostly pale, as if every trace of color had been drained in an instant. Her eyelids fluttered weakly, then closed. Her pale lips moved ever so slightly, and Alex had to bring his ear close to hear the faint whisper, "Henry, one word, yet it felt like someone squeezing his heart in a merciless grip. "No, no. Tuna, open your eyes. Listen to me." He shook her gently, panic filling his voice. "Don't close your eyes. Stay with me, with Henry." Henry jolted awake from the crash, and Alex's shout, bursting into tears. The child's cries pierced through the night, prompting neighbors to turn on lights and peek out their windows. Alex lifted Tuna, supporting her head with one hand and her back with the other. He ran outside, shouting, "Help! Someone help me!" A neighbor switched on her light, rushing out. "What happened, Alex?" "She fainted. She won't wake up. I need to get her to the hospital." No one asked further. In moments, people grabbed flashlights, keys to an old truck used for farm deliveries, anything they could. The once quiet yard quickly filled with footsteps and urgent voices. A woman took Henry, trying to soothe him while hurrying toward the truck. Alex cradled Tuna tightly, glancing back once at the house that had only just begun to feel warm again. The old truck-turned improvised ambulance roared to life and sped into the night. Headlights carved through the thick darkness ahead. Alex sat in the back, laying Tuna across his lap, holding her hand tightly. Every bump made his heart leap. Every moment of silence made him bend down to whisper her name. "Tuna, can you hear me? Wake up. Henry is waiting for you." She remained motionless. Only the rattling engine and Henry's sobs from the front seat filled the air. It was the first time Alex had ever felt so powerless. Not over business, not over numbers or contracts, but over the fragile life of the woman he loved. The district hospital glowed coldly under fluorescent lights. As soon as the truck halted, doctors and nurses rushed out. They had already been alerted. "Female patient around 30, sudden collapse, severe exhaustion, unknown medical history," a nurse announced. "Take her to the emergency room immediately." Hands pulled Tuna from Alex's arms. He felt as if half his body had been ripped away. He tried to follow, but Henry's piercing cry erupted from the neighbor's arms. The sound tore at him. The wheels of the gurney clattered over the tiles. Nurses shouted, "Clear the way!" In an instant, Alex was split in two. One part wanting to chase Tuna, the other pulled back by his crying son. He took Henry, holding the shaking child to his chest, then sprinted after the gurney until the white doors slammed shut in his face. He realized this was a battle he couldn't fight beside her. All he could do was wait. The hallway smelled of antiseptic, cold, and sharp. Alex sat on the floor, back against the wall, Henry curled in his arms, occasionally whimpering before finally crying himself to sleep. The echoing beep, beep, from distant machines sounded like a countdown. He didn't know how long had passed. An hour? 2? The whole night? All he knew was that every second felt like a lifetime. He pressed a kiss to Henry's soft hair. "Son, your mother is fighting, and we will fight with her, okay?" Henry didn't answer, asleep at last. But Alex continued, speaking as if to anchor himself. "She'll come back to us. She has to." Finally, the door opened. A middle-aged doctor stepped out. Fatigue etched across his face. Alex shot to his feet. "Doctor, how is she?" The doctor glanced at Henry, then at Alex, and spoke calmly. "She collapsed from severe exhaustion, both physical and emotional. She's past the critical stage, stable for now, but extremely fragile. She needs rest, care, and absolutely no more self-strain." Each word washed over Alex like both a blessing and a warning. Stable, but fragile. 2 words that eased and tightened his heart at once. Inside the stark white room, Tu Na lay motionless on the bed, nearly blending into the sheets. Tubes and wires connected her to machines beeping steadily. Alex sat beside her, placing Henry, now in a small cot, close, then gently took her cold hand. "Can you hear me, Tu Na? I'm here." He lowered his forehead to her hand, breath trembling. "I promise to protect this family. Don't leave me halfway like this. We just found Henry. You can't go anywhere. Do you hear me?" Memories flooded him. Nights of driving in storms, searching for them. Missed calls that cut like knives, returning to an empty back seat. Then the moment Henry returned, tears like rain, and Tu Na's shaking arms wrapped around their child. Alex clenched his jaw, tears dripping onto her knuckles. Nurses moved in and out, adjusting monitors, recording vitals. Alex never let go of her hand, not even for a moment. Henry stirred restlessly, crying softly in his sleep. Each time Alex soothed him gently, reminding himself he couldn't break. Not now. At dawn, the sky outside shifted from black to gray. Light from the room cast a long shadow of Tu Na on the wall. Henry let out a tiny sound, opening his eyes before burrowing into the blanket again. His small cry slipped into the quiet air like a thin thread reaching toward wherever Tu Na's consciousness drifted. Her fingers twitched, a movement so faint Alex almost missed it. He looked up sharply, heart pounding. "Tu Na, can you hear me?" Her eyelids flickered, slow, heavy, as if she were lifting a massive door. Then from her pale lips came the weakest whisper, "Henry." Alex's breath hitched. He hurried to lift Henry and bring him closer. "Henry's here. He's safe. He's waiting for you." This time her eyes opened, cloudy, weak, but no longer empty. She searched for Alex's face first, then slowly shifted toward the small shape in his arms. A tear slid down her cheek. "Alex," she breathed, barely audible. "I'm here," he whispered back, tightening his hold on her hand. "I'm right here. I won't leave." Her lips trembled. "Don't. Let me go." Alex pressed his forehead to her hand, hiding the tears welling in his eyes. "Never. I told you, I will keep this family together. I'll fight for you, for Henry, until my last breath." Hours later, the doctor returned, checked her vitals, and nodded gently. "She's recovering better than expected. Still very weak, but past the worst. She just needs rest and proper care." Alex finally exhaled, a breath he felt he'd been holding all night. He turned to Tu Na, whose eyes now held more clarity, though still exhausted. "You scared me to death," he murmured, half scolding, half breaking. Tu Na looked at him, then at Henry sleeping lightly nearby. Tears welled again, not from pain, but from gratitude, from love. "When I thought I was sinking, I heard you," she whispered slowly. "You kept calling me, pulling me back. I thought, if I let go, you and Henry would be lost." Alex brushed the damp hair from her forehead. "I'll never let you be lost again. Never." Henry stirred, letting out a small cry. A nurse brought him over, and Alex carefully placed the baby in Tu Na's trembling arms. She held him against her chest, tears falling onto his soft hair. "My son, I thought I'd never hold you again." Henry blinked sleepily, then gripped the fabric of her gown with his tiny fingers. The room fell into a peaceful silence. The doctor smiled softly. "A family like this is the best medicine she could have." Alex said nothing, just watched the two people who meant everything to him. Night finally surrendered to morning. Sunlight streamed through the window as the nurse drew back the curtains. Machines still beeped. Nurses still walked by. But to Alex, everything felt different now. Tuna leaned back, holding Henry close, eyes never leaving his face. Alex sat beside her, one arm wrapped protectively around them both. "Will we be okay?" Tuna whispered, her voice light as a breeze. Alex took her hand again, firm and steady. "Yes, we'll be okay. Not because things will be easier, but because we made it through this storm together." Outside, the sky brightened, birds calling faintly. As if the world itself whispered, "After the longest night, dawn always comes." For the first time since Henry was taken, for the first time since Tuna collapsed, Alex allowed himself to believe they had survived. Not without pain, not without scars, but they were here. 3 of them, a family. And to him, that alone was enough. After many sleepless nights of fear and prayer, Tuna finally reunites with baby Henry and holds him in her arms again. Just when Alex believes their small family is finally whole, tragedy strikes. One quiet evening at the farm, Tuna suddenly collapses, the rice bowl shattering on the floor, as she whispers only one word: "Henry." Alex panics, rushes her to the hospital, and is torn between his unconscious wife and their crying child. In the cold, sterile corridor, he clings to her hand and refuses to let go, begging her to return. After a long night, Tuna slowly wakes, hears Henry's cry, and comes back to them. Scarred but together, their family survives the storm.